which character is the most meaningful to the audience, who is remembered as the most courageous agent? Plungerman, of course. Some of his actions were on the verge of madness. He was ready to sacrifice himself in order to win for other agents at least a little time. As you can see, this video is dedicated to him, Plungerman. Even after his death, all the viewers are hoping for his return. And what if I told you that it is actually possible? After all, the hint of his return was given by Dafuk Boom himself. And did you know that there was a special bond between Plungerman and the cameraman Titan? How else can you explain the fact that Plungerman so boldly went on the attack against an entire army, as if knowing that the Titan will come to the rescue? Also, Plungerman had already declassified the secret agent, and soon he would no longer be secret. With this, of course, he hurt him badly, and I'll tell you why and how. Anyway, today we'll talk about Plungerman, review his entire history in the series, discuss when he might return, and under what circumstances. And most interestingly, can Plungerman uncover the whole truth about the secret agent? This and much more in this video. So be sure to watch the whole thing from start to finish, so you don't miss all the details. And with you as always, Razmeek, and if you have already put a like, then we are already starting. So first of all, let's remember who he is. Plungerman is a special agent, one of the very first cameramen. We can understand this from the clipboard that camerawoman took from the dying Plungerman. It has the number 69 on it, while other regular agents mostly have numbers going over 1,000. Also, Plungerman is one of the key characters in the series. He killed Skibidi the scientist, participated in the very first battles and events in the series. Plungerman is well known to us, so let me tell his story for the sake of clarity, before I break down a few theories about him. It all starts with the first experiments. In some lab, most likely in Alpha Hills, people start creating an army to fight Skibidi Toilets. The scientists who created the agents transfer their consciousness into some of them or control them. They do this to protect themselves from infection. And one scientist we saw in episode 73, in Camerawoman's flashback, transferred his consciousness into Plungerman. As we know, she's sort of an avatar of the scientist Katie, and Plungerman is the guy who was standing to her right. As I said earlier, Plungerman starts to get involved in the first battles and gets injured. This happens during the time period when cameraman Titan loses to G-Man for the first time and is sent to improve. There, he heals with him and improves a bit. At this point, the Skibidi Toilets prepare to attack the labs. Plungerman is the first to be discharged from the lab, and he, knowing that cameraman Titan is ready, goes up against an entire army of Skibidi Toilets. Later, in a battle against G-Man, Plungerman buys cameraman Titan some time, thanks to which Speakerman Titan is successfully cured of the parasites. At this point, Plungerman already has 2 heroic deeds under his belt. After the battle for Titan Speakerman, Plungerman is badly wounded, so Twooman has to teleport him away from the battlefield. He is further improved and given a toilet from Skibidi Glitch, making Plungerman fast. Using this technology, he risks his life again to buy the Titans time, leaving them alive. And then there is the infiltration of the laboratory. Plungerman and about 10 other agents get there. After all the agents are dead, only he and Black Speaker, with whom they had a strained relationship at that point, remain. They find the scientist, who they defeat with the help of the other agents and the Titans. As we know, Plungerman's injuries were serious, but they weren't so critical that they couldn't be repaired. Fortunately, he dies, or rather is killed by a secret agent, so that what was going on in the lab would remain a secret. His death is probably the saddest event in the series so far. Why do we think he's dead? Before we talk about when he'll be back, it's worth discussing a few versions of him. I decided to dig a little deeper. As we remember from episode 73, we saw some scientists in the lab in Camerawoman's flashbacks, and we've also already seen them in the agent versions. The one on the far right is Dave, aka the Plungerman image. Next to him is Ketty, the image of Camerawoman. And the one on the far left is the cameraman scientist. Who's the remaining scientist? Clearly, it's not gonna be some random cameraman, and he's the one who can be matched up with the cameraman Titan. At least he fits more than the others. From this, we can conclude that if the agents are controlled by humans, then definitely Camera Titan and Plungerman will be connected. Of course, it's just a theory for now, but it sounds good. As we can see, despite his death, Plungerman's cause lives on. After all, he was the first to get on the trail of the secret agent, the first to notice the poster with him, and also the first to see the books of TV men in the warehouse Skibidi Toilets. Basically, he's the first to realize something's wrong. We've already been shown a cameraman of a detective who was watching his cameraman at the time of Plungerman's death. If he started investigating, then maybe the secret agent is about to stop being secret. Or, well, that's another story. I guess we'll talk about that soon enough. We also saw that cameraman scientist, who is a friend of Plungerman, was watching the same broadcast, so it turns out that already 3 characters are motivated to avenge Plungerman's death. It is quite realistic that cameraman detective and cameraman scientist will unite in some of the series and start searching for who killed Plungerman. It is after the death of the agents in the lab that the active search for answers to the anomalies taking place will begin. The agents have already seen the green particles in the G-Man shot, books based on Skibidi toilets. Lots of places these particles have been spotted, which could already be causing agents to have questions. And after Plungerman's death, that search will intensify. Now we get to the big question. Is Plungerman really coming back? Actually, it's not so clear-cut. We can't say that he'll definitely come back, and we can't insist otherwise. If we take into account that Plungerman in the series appeared not so often, but made a great impression on the audience, then we can understand that he is still the most favorite and most expected character, and it certainly wouldn't make sense for Defakboom to retire this character. If he had completed the Plungerman story, he wouldn't have said in interviews that he might still be back. In any case, directly about Plungerman not returning to the series he wouldn't have said, but he would definitely answer something along the lines of, "I don't think he'll be back," or just say that he's dead for good, as we know he's already made it clear that Plungerman will probably come back. But when? Right now I can tell you that he won't be back anytime soon, certainly not in the next few episodes. I think Defuk will take the opportunity to make some noise about Plungerman's return when interest in the series starts to wane. Plungerman will not be a living agent in the usual sense. In Plungerman's vision, which he saw before his death, we saw that the secret agent was given a floppy disk, which most likely contained his consciousness. From this we can conclude that if Plungerman does return, it will be as a ghost. It's a shame, of course, but on the other hand, we would no longer fear for the death of any agent because he would return. So I don't think Dafak would devalue the departure of the familiar Plungerman, but I have another theory. Cameramans, in fact, are robots with very good artificial intelligence, and taking all this into account, it is not difficult to recreate the same agent, though he will not be the same as we saw him before, but still he will be very similar to the old Plungerman. You could even create a huge army of Plungermen this way, and it all reminded me of Detroit. Become human. Okay, if he comes back as a ghost, he will 100% be a secret agent henchman, so he won't be on the side of the regular agents. As for his tasks as a henchman, you can fantasize. Perhaps he will be an assassin who will eliminate those who interfere with Dafuk's plan, or perhaps he will be a kind of protector for important agents. The potential for his return is huge, and I'm sure Dafuk will bring him back to the series at the right time, and what a high-profile event that would be. It's hard to even imagine. In fact, showing him somewhere in the distant background somewhere will be enough to generate excitement among fans. I would be very happy if you share this clip and post your musings and theories in the comments. Well, before you came my other analysis. Thanks for watching the video up to this point. And with you as always, Razmik. See you soon. Bye.